Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rangers Respite. I'm Philip, and today's Friday. And by some strange coincidence, it is another Friday Day with a fantastic, well, okay, a really interesting bottle. I think that it is a very good whiskey. I'll get into that in a moment. In the meantime, before I jump into it, if you like the show, you'd like to see more episodes like this, most of the bottles that I review, I purchase with my own money, and in order to do so, I sell these ballpoint twist pens turned from French oak cognac cask that was used to finish a peated American single malt whiskey in the Pacific Northwest. If you know, you know. And now, real quick, into this. So, this, as some of you may recognize, is a somewhat hard to come by whiskey. It is a 13-year-old Kentucky straight rye whiskey bottled by Buffalo Trace. Bottled by Old Rip Van Winkle Distillery. It's 13 years old, 95.6 proof. Yeah. It's expensive on the secondary market. It is expensive at retail. I paid retail prices for this a couple years ago. I believe grand total it was $127-ish, 126 and change. And I've actually talked about it previously. I haven't rewatched my old review, so I don't remember what I said. It's been a while. But I figure I'll give it another go, see what I think. On the nose, lots of caramel, vanilla, a little bit of star anise, a little bit of fennel, which is a nice note. I like that note in rye. And some soft oak tannic notes in there. Oh no, I feel a cough coming. Give me. Sorry about that. I do minimal editing, so I apologize. So, primary notes that really pop on the nose. First blush, not having had a little bit on the palate yet. Star anise, fennel, tannic spice, which is like sort of a burnt caramel, cinnamon. It's hard to explain other than it's tannic. It's like sawdust and such. I do think that I enjoy this nose considerably more now than I did the last time I poured some. The palate, there's that oak astringency. It starts to really poke out and be aggressive at this sort of higher age statement for American whiskey. There's a little bit of char. And there's a wonderful pumpernickel note, caraway seed, a little bit of star anise, a little bit of fennel. It's a very herbal rye, which I do enjoy. But it is also a little bit thin on the palate. Not a huge flavor bomb. And the palate is really sort of dominated by the oak notes, with that sort of sitting on top of the very nice herbal rye notes and the grain character spice. The finish is licorice, like candy licorice, cinnamon, a little bit of like leaf duff, and the tannins really sort of pop off and give it a really like bitter, bite to the back of the neck or back of the throat. A little bit of warmth in the chest, but it's not particularly proofy, which is actually, I think, good for this particular release. Give me just a moment. Apologies. It is sort of a cohesive thought all the way through. It is 100% a rye whiskey through and through, but the sort of primary, the big notes that stand up and come at you all the way through and sort of grab you are all oak notes. And like you gotta know what these rye notes are to look for to find them. You've gotta like be looking for them. If I were poured this blind, I would guess a high rye bourbon. I wouldn't necessarily guess that it is a straight rye whiskey. And that said, on the one hand, okay, does it have any off notes? No, there are no off notes. This is an extremely well polished dram. But I also find it to be just a little bit boring. And for me, that's an issue. I like my whiskeys to be interesting, and this just doesn't really do that for me. And that's just an unfortunate truth. Now, I always ask and answer 3 questions when I'm reviewing a whiskey. The first one being, do I like it? That's all right. I wouldn't say really that it's an exceptional whiskey. But it's okay. It's pretty good. Believe it or not, I think it'd be a coin flip between this and the Sazerac rye, the regular Sazerac rye. Second question, do I think it's a good value? No. Even with a 13-year age statement, which I'm going to be real honest with you, we're going to see more and more releases that have higher age statements as time goes on, as a function of the pace at which Kentucky distillers and distillers all over the U.S., but in particular Kentucky distillers, are laying in product, and the reduced demand, meaning they're bottling less. Both domestically and internationally, there's a lower demand, so there isn't going to be as much production. Which is why, for example, you see Diageo pausing production at Dickel and Balcones. It's why you see Suntory pausing production at the Jim Beam facility in Claremont, Kentucky. And we'll see how this goes in a little while, but there's a lot of whiskey aging all over the country that is going to be aging longer because it doesn't make sense for distilleries to bottle it and let it sit in bottles when they can leave it in barrels. They're still paying taxes on it as it's aging, and that's unfortunate, but that's just a fact of the industry. And that brings me to the third and final question. Do I recommend it? No. It's a decent enough whiskey, but for the price, you can get 2 or 3 other whiskeys, and you can certainly get better whiskeys for a fair bit less. For about $27 less, you can get Kentucky Creek Rebel Rouser Rye, which I think is a much more interesting rye. It's not as old. It's not from the Van Winkle distillery, but I think it's a better whiskey and more interesting whiskey at a better price point. There are a bunch of things out there that I think are more interesting and better whiskeys for a better price. And that's just my 2 cents. Now, I've asked and answered my 3 questions. Let's see what I'm looking at on Wednesday. Going here. And going here. Hide that choice so I don't accidentally roll it again. Let's spin the wheel, see what I'm reviewing on Friday. I'm hoping for something that isn't a Buffalo Trace product. Not that I have anything inherently against Buffalo Trace, except that I do. This one I'm excited for. As weird as it sounds, coming from like, oh yeah, I just reviewed, 100 and almost $130 bottle of rye whiskey. Why would you be excited about a craft bourbon? Because this is a really interesting bottle, and I will tell you all about it on Wednesday, which is coming up quick. Now, let's see. On Saturday, tomorrow, I'm going to be taking a look at this Whiskey Del Bach single cask from Lost Lantern for my Lost Lantern Saturday video. And I might make another video for Monday, since those seem to be doing okay and you don't mind my ranting. If you like these videos, if you'd like to see more, as always, like, comment, subscribe. The more you engage with my videos, the more people see them. If you'd like to support the channel in a more material fashion, I'm selling these ballpoint twist pens, turned from French oak, barrel stave, held cognac for 45 years before being used to finish a peated American single malt whiskey in the Pacific Northwest. If you know, you know. I can't tell you exactly what distillery they came from because the master distiller couldn't get her marketing team to okay me telling people, but that's okay because if you know, you know. I'm also selling some stuff on TeePublic. I've got 2 t-shirt designs, a sticker, hat, etc. I'm gonna be ordering myself a hat as soon as I've got a little bit more wiggle room in my personal budget. I think that covers all of that. So, until next time, stay happy, stay geeks. Slancha.